Right. We're going. So thank you for coming to my master class. Today we are talking about building an authentic brand as a soul-led entrepreneur. And many people always ask me, what does it mean to be authentic? How is it different? So we're going to answer some of those questions. I'm going to apologize ahead of time for my voice. I was traveling, and as soon as I got home, my body just went, yeah, I don't think so. So, um, yesterday I didn't even have a voice, so this is pretty good. So just kind of bear with me. I appreciate you all being here. If this is your first time, my name is Camille Miller, and I am a strategic life and business strategist, and I help people build soul-aligned businesses, usually coming out of very logically brained, structured jobs. So doctors, lawyers, therapists, a lot of educators, people that have been doing things all of their life. They've hit the top and they're like, this does not make my heart sing. So what do I want to do for the last chapter of my life? And I help them design the business of their dreams so they can retire and usually have just as much money as they were making or more money in a way that feels really comfortable and aligned with them. I also have the Soul Aligned Business School, the Soul Professional Business School, and the brand and the community, where I teach a lot of this. This is my masterclass. They are free every single month on the third Thursday, and you are welcome to come and ask your own questions and be a part of the discussion. They are recorded for YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. And you can also leave comments on YouTube and reach out. We now have, if you will go to my website, it's called CamilleLMiller.com. I have a free workbook that you can download that helps you with some initial questions about designing your soul line business and some of the questions you should be asking yourself. So we have that. And we also have free networking the third Tuesday of every single month if you are interested and are also a soul aligned entrepreneur. Right now, we represent about 30 countries all over the world with people finally living their passion and doing their thing and living in this global economy, doing work on Zoom, which I think is really, really cool. Because when I started the company 10 years ago, it didn't look exactly like it does today. So I absolutely love what we are creating. And I'm excited when I get to travel around the world that we have members all over the place. And membership is free when I say members. So I appreciate you guys being here. I would love to know from the people that are here with me today, what made you sign up? Because it's in those questions that I can really answer. If there's a specific, you can either speak, you can put it in the chat. I will read the chat the whole time. And what building an authentic brand means to you. If anyone wants to share, feel free. I always love to know what you guys did, like why you guys chose to be here, and if there's other things that you'd like to learn. But I feel that being authentic in your brand is around your own energy, your own values, your own resonance, and anything that makes you, you, without the hustle, without the grind, without the I have to, without the people tell me I should, because that, I want to break every myth here. I have built a business. I've been in this business for over 10 years, but I built it on word of mouth and making connections. I didn't even have a picture or a website until this year. I had one for the company, but I wasn't on it. Like, it didn't have me. Most of my stuff is done on LinkedIn, and almost, well, I would say actually now about 100% of my business is word of mouth. So people come to me because they've heard about me through someone else, or they've joined our networking. And I believe in my brand is about belongingness, is about obviously spirituality, right? The soul professional. It's about safety in what you do, because a lot of people are scared to talk about their spiritual side. And this is a blending of science and soul. So those are my core values with integrity and truth. And that's what it means to me to be soulful and authentic. One of the things I'm doing this year, if you haven't seen, growing out my gray hair, because I said, hey, if I'm going to be authentic, I got to be me. I got to show up in actually who I am. So I'm actually kind of proud of it. And I'm like, this is what I look like. And that's okay, right? Just stop trying to be what people say you should be or how you should act or how you should look, right? And that's what we want to break out of. So when I say you're building an authentic brand, it's mean, how are you showing up in the world as you? Now, that doesn't mean not showing up in the world. So I do want to talk about that a little bit, because a lot of times when I work with entrepreneurs, they're like, I just want the freedom and the time, which all happens. We get that freedom, we get that time, we get to do it our way, but you still have to do stuff. I call it inspired action. You don't get to just sit on your couch and hope that someone's going to email you, or because you're posting all the time, that you're hoping that someone's going to go, oh my God, that's exactly what I need. Because that really doesn't work. And I think it's actually even harder today than I've ever seen it before because of AI, right? Because now we all have ChatGPT and people are throwing stuff in there and everyone's a generalist. And I think now more than ever, we have to super hyper focus and establish authority in a really, really small area. Mine is soul-aligned entrepreneurship. That is my area. That is my authority. That's what I speak on all the time. I can speak on different areas of it, right? Which I'm sure you guys can too. But it's super hyper focused. That is what's really important when you're building any brand, but I'm talking about soul aligned brands, right? And to show up actually who you are. Because that's how we establish authority in a certain area. So when I'm talking about AI and everyone's creating their blogs now and writing articles and posting because they can put in a few words and it spits out something, it spits out a lot of the same stuff for a lot of people that are just like you. So now you've just made yourself look like every other person out there. And I think that's one of the things AI is actually hurting us as a solo entrepreneur, because now you're looking like everybody else. So it's how do we really differentiate and lean into our uniqueness in the world? What makes us different from everyone else? One of the things I'm doing in my own brand is I'm focusing very heavy on people that are actually in corporate right now, that are kind of in that thought process of, I should really build my side hustle, or I should do this, or I really would like to do this, but I'm afraid, or I still need this stability in my salary before I go off, right? And I'm just saying, build it now, because all of a sudden you're going to get that layoff notice or something's going to happen and you're not going to be ready, and you don't want to create from a place of fear, right? So I am super niching down to a very specific person, just to make it easier, and I direct programs towards that specific person right now. So you want to really niche down. But you also want to be very authentic when you're talking. You want to be you. The person on the other end wants to learn about you, right? So if you're good at writing, or you're good at social media, if you're good at videos, whatever it is that you're really good at is what you want to continue to do. If you're good at writing, write. If you're good at posting, post. If you're good at graphics, do graphics. If you're good at short video, do short video. If you're good at master classes, do master classes. That's one of the reasons I do a master class, is because I'm really good at teaching. That is what I do. I am first a teacher, right? I'm a mentor, I'm a trainer. I've done all of those things. So I allow people to get to know me through my free master classes. That's how I've chosen to do it. It's authentic to me to be able to show up and talk and to inspire people. So you have to see what's authentic to you. Another thing I've recently changed in my business is, because of all the posting and everyone looking just like everyone else out there, I decided to not post as much. If I do post, I usually use a picture of myself, because that'll draw people in to know that it's always me. But on LinkedIn, which is my primary social media, I started to do a newsletter, and not just like a blog that AI does. I do a very personal story about something that came up for me in that particular week. The last one, I just talked about my trip to France, right? And finding space and helping people. So it's whatever's happening, but it's a 3,000 word article. That is like a chapter of a book, right? 3,000 word article. And I do it on purpose because most people can't. And I don't know, I think I have like 6 articles out there. I just started doing it, but I have about 750 subscribers already, because it was a way for me to differentiate. And it's a way for people to also talk back to me and get to learn about who I am, because your energy is what is selling whatever you're selling. It's you. People want you, your energy, not all the letters, not all of your recommendations and testimonials. They want to resonate with you. And I say this often, there are lots of people that have, like, I have an MBA. There are a billion people out there with MBAs, right? There are millions of people that come out of medical school that are MDs, or go to law school and are lawyers, or CPAs, or whatever it is. And they all have the same education of their chosen field. But when you're looking to work with someone, right, whether it's a business coach with an MBA, whether it's a CPA, a lawyer, whatever it is, a medical doctor, you're going to interview them and say, you know, does this person resonate with me, right? And you build into their energy and you're like, yep, that's my person. And the reason it's your person is because your energies match, right? That's what authenticity is, but that's what frequency is. That's what a law of attraction is. So you're choosing someone actually based on their energy more than their knowledge, right? Someone resonates with you. And then after, you might go look at recommendations and other things to strengthen who you choose. But that's how people are looking at you and your services in the world, right? I don't think anything beats personal connection. But today with the internet, we have to do personal connection very differently. If you can get on the phone with people, do that. I do this because that's how I used to talk on the phone. I guess kids now go like this, right? I use personal connection. I use Zoom. My business is run on Zoom. So I always meet people on Zoom. If you've had a conversation with me, I probably said, let's meet on Zoom, right? I don't really like phone calls as much because I can't see the person and have the interaction. And I know that I resonate with people on camera or in person. People resonate with my energy. That's my superpower. That's how I can help. I can hear, I can hold space. That's who I am. So that's how I conduct my business authentically. That's how you lead authentically, because that's what people are looking for. They're looking for you. I don't share a lot about my personal life. If you're in my classes or one of my masterminds, or you're a client, I absolutely share my personal problems, woes, where I am, maybe my family, things I've gone through. If you've read my books, my stories are all in there. That is on a personal level. I don't really post about my personal stuff, so you'll never see pictures of my kids or things like that. I just don't put it out there. But people want to know stuff like that. I just actually had a call with someone right before here, and we spent a half hour just talking about life, our kids, things that were going on. And, you know, time was flipping by, and we never actually even talked about our business or what we can do or help each other, because we were first making that connection. And that's what's really normal. It's just loving someone's energy. And that's how people are choosing you in the world. So in your business, you need to think about, how am I allowing people to see who I am, right? You can do it. If video is your thing, I'm using that example because video is my thing. People can come here, right, and interact with me. You can go to my networking. You can go to my soul car pulling, and you can get to see who I am. You can go to my YouTube channel get to see who I am, right? Before anyone takes that next step, or we get on a phone, or we do anything else. Some people will stay in my free section forever, and that is fine. Some people will start to move up and do more, right? They'll go into my accelerators, they'll go into one of my online programs, whatever it is for them, right? So your authenticity has to show up in your brand all the time, right? If you, here's one of mine. This picture I've had behind me since the pandemic, even in the house I had before this, right? It's part of how people see me. Every single video, I'm actually sitting here with this picture behind me and my 3 books here. Actually, it was 1, then it was 2, then it was 3, right? It's part of my background and what I show. It's part of my brand. Does that make sense? People ask me about this. One of my oldest child painted it, has significance. We talk about that. That's being authentic. It's part of branding. So if you have something that you use all the time, you have something that you say all the time, that's being authentic. So it's really allowing you to be you. I just want to pause for a minute and read the chat. And if you guys have any questions about your own brand or your own authenticity or a specific part of business, let me know in the chat so I can answer it. I just want to read. Okay, building an aligned and soulful brand is huge. It feels so good, much better than letting your gurky self come through. Well, you do need to allow yourself to come through, because that's what makes you authentic, you being you, your uniqueness. Nobody can be you in the world. You should be able to give your business plan, everything you do, your coaching packages, everything you do, you should be able to hand to somebody else, and they can never produce what you can produce, because they are not you. Everything you do is formulated for you. And people are buying into you because they want to be like you, right? They're buying into that energy of you. All right. If you guys have any questions or things to say, please put them in the chat. I was drawn to finding a way to build a more authentic brand. I have found myself following best practices that did not align with me, the work I want to do, or who I want to work with. I totally get that, Stephanie. A lot of times we're told to do things. I think social media is a big one right now, especially that things that have worked in the past don't necessarily work anymore. And having these big content schedules don't really serve a lot of people. I always say the way I do social media is, if I get a thought, or I just hung up with a client and I had this big, or they had this big aha moment, or something happened, or there's a theme throughout the week, that's what I post about in the moment. I'll share like, this just happened, because that is authentic and more real, and we'll get more comments than if you're just posting it. And now that you have that month, you're going to put it to next month, because then it's a much different feel. Does that make sense? Yeah. It just doesn't have the same feel when it's not coming from a place of your truth. So I think social media is a big one that doesn't really follow the norm, how you show up, even your office hours, the boundaries you put around yourself. I think that's really important, because you have to decide for you what is most important, right? If you don't want to work at night, you don't work at night. I don't use Voxer. No client has my text number, my cell phone number, so people can't text me, because that is not how I conduct business. So part of your brand and part of the boundaries you put around yourself is for you. It's not what other people do. It's great what other people do, because that's what makes them feel comfortable. For me particularly, I'm an introvert. People don't believe that, but I am an introvert, and I need my time. So I never allow anyone to be in my calendar or my schedule, no matter how much my staff has asked. And one of the reasons is because I know from those calls how much time I need to reflect afterwards, or what I need buffer time. I can't go back to back to back to back. And I also set up my calls so I have the time I need if something goes over or there's a connection. Like the call I had earlier right before this, it was a half-hour slot, but we took an hour, and that's okay, because in that half hour we still hadn't asked each other what we did, right? But that's the way I set up my schedule, and it's authentic to me, and it allows me to express myself the way I need to. But I feel like there's a lot of things that you don't have to do because everyone else does it. And I think that makes you more unique, right? And if there's someone that questions it, you can just say, this is a boundary for me. This is how I do it. And that goes with working nights or weekends, or if you want to work just 2 days a week. I never schedule anything on a Friday, because Friday is I can choose to work all day if I wanted to, or I can choose not to do anything, but that's my day. On Wednesdays, I go to the trainer in the morning. I don't start work till 1 p.m. Now, it's also my late night because I work all over time zones, but those are boundaries that I can do, and it's authentic to me. Does that make sense? It's authentic to me. So you have to do what's authentic to you. And trust me, people will get to know who you are by your boundaries and how you're showing up. And that's the most important part. Victor, hi Camille, personal professional inflection point due to some family tragedy since you and I had dinner last year. I thought I would stop by and hear you. Good point. Thanks, Victor. I always appreciate you being here. Any other questions before I go on? All right. So I do have some notes. I'm going back to those. When we talk about soul before your strategy, because most of us are soul-led entrepreneurs, I'm always asked, what does soul mean to you? But to clarify that your brand, if it's your name or something else, I do love when people use their name, starts with who you are, not what you sell, because people are buying you, not necessarily what you sell, right? Because they can get a lot of the programs that we do, a lot of the stuff, there's a billion of us, right? There's a billion people that do what I do. There's probably a billion people that do what you do. Maybe not a billion, maybe a million, maybe 100,000. But still, they're buying into you. There's a reason why you started the conversation, right? Your brand needs to speak about alignment over your image, your values, your mission, your voice, your energetic presence is all your branding, every single piece of it. So adding soulful words, if you're a soul-aligned brand, don't say like people don't say it. It's actually the words that other people call you that you should be using. Does that make sense? A long time ago in my membership, someone called us a business incubator. And then all of the other members loved that. This is when I had a paid membership. And they started using it. So I adopted that because it made sense to the people that were following me, right? The word actually came from the people that were following me. So I started to use the word so people understood, what am I doing in this world? Well, I'm a business incubator. That's what the soul professional community is all about. It's a business, it's an international business incubator for people to meet and connect and grow together, right? So people don't buy what you do. They buy who you are when you are in alignment, right? Because frequency matches frequency. So a great exercise with yourself is to ask, what do you stand for in your work? What do you stand for? If you know, put it in the chat. I would love to hear. I know a big one for me is integrity. I think I've told you about belongingness, safety. These are my core values when people come in. Obviously, service, innovation. I always say we dovetail science and soul, right? So those are some core values of me and my business, but you need to be very clear on what your core values is. Sacred leadership. I love that, Jennifer. Yeah, core values are really, really important. You need to know what you stand for in your work. These are what we call branding pillars, right? When we talk about messaging. Um, and your branding pillars, there's usually in every single brand, there's usually 3 to 5 key brand pillars. This is something we talk about pretty significantly in our accelerator, because when you're building a business, you have to have core values to stand on. So when people aren't meeting your core values, you know they're not your people, right? And you need to know your core values before you're even building your avatar, so you know who are you talking to and what are you first standing for, right? Your values, your message, even personality traits, right? For me, integrity is a big one for myself. Honesty, truthfulness, authenticity, those are words that I live by. So I expect my clients to also live by them. So I use those words in my marketing, in my text, in my branding, right? So I use like wisdom to wealth, radical transparency, healing meets strategy. Those are pillars that brands could stand on. Does that make sense? A good thing to do is brainstorm some of the pillars that your brand stands on. Hold on, I need a sip of tea. Judy, I see you saying holistic health in all areas, body, mind, and alignment, like that. Awesome. All right. So the next part, I talk about your voice, your story. Your brand is built along moments where you showed yourself, not just sold, but you showed up, right? That's where people are watching you. That's where you're saying, that's why you're truly saying who you are, because you're showing, not telling. Have you ever met someone that's saying one thing, but all of their actions are leading in a totally different direction? And you're like, am I misunderstanding what's going on here? And in a lot of ways, those are people that are out of alignment. They're doing what they're supposed to do, but their body or language or words, like it's not all in alignment, so it's not resonating. And people feel that friction because that comes out in energy. It comes out in your energy. So you have to feel in alignment when this all happens. Your authenticity is part of your consistency, your vulnerability, and your truth. I'm going to say that again. Authenticity equals consistency plus vulnerability plus your truth. That's what makes you authentic, right? But you have to consistently have those same points because you are who you are, right? And when I say vulnerability, it's speaking your truth all the time. A lot of times, even in my masterminds, I share if I'm going through a tough time. I share mistakes I made. Actually, my whole second book is about mistakes I made and growth. Because that's part of my learning curve. And I'm a big believer that we learn from other people's mistakes. It's a lot easier to learn from other people's mistakes, right? It doesn't work. It doesn't work for a lot of people. So I'm not going to try that route because it didn't work for a lot of people, or you just change. Jennifer, one of my guiding principles is my alignment creates deep connection. That is true, right? I love that. And it's also a belief system, right? If you believe that you're creating deep connection and you put the intention out there that something specific will happen because of it, that's what you're drawing towards you. Oh my God, my throat is going. So I think it's important when you're posting to share stories that helped shape who you are today as an entrepreneur, right? And that could be a big brand asset. If you look on my website, there's actually a story about how I came up with the idea of that I have. So you want to put out what we call your origin story. That's a big part of why people do what they do is called your origin story. What made you start doing what you do? And that's what people connect into. So your origin story is a big part of your why. It's when I see healers, it's usually that they've come out of something and they healed, and then they teach that same healing to others, right? Their origin story is important. The reason I started the Natural Life Business Partnership is because I couldn't find my people in the world. And I had a bigger vision of what could be. So my origin story is a part of that, and that's what people connect to. So your origin story, your why, is a really important part of your story, your brand. So your story should always weave through everything you do. If you do an interview, if you do a podcast, if you're writing, it should be on your website. It's a big part of who you are and what shaped today. So I always share, like, as I grew my business, the mistakes I also made, right? Because that's part of my story. I've made mistakes. I've gotten into debt. I hired bad people. But that's part of growth. And actually, one of the things that actually gave me a lot of strength is I was talking to an entrepreneur that was much, much bigger than me years ago. And I was telling him about a bad hire and, you know, what I did because I thought I was going to hire someone to save me. And he's like, yeah, we all go through that. And he said he lost about $75,000 on that mistake. And that was the exact amount of money I made on the exact same mistake. And I was like, and the first thing I thought was, perfect. That's a step I just cleared because someone else had done it. So I'm like, perfect. That is part of my journey. That is one of the steps. And now I've done that too. Right. So cleared it. And now I can go on. So it's part of my story. It's part of something I talked to. Actually, I wrote about it in my second book, that we make mistakes and it's part of it and it's okay. But sharing those mistakes out there, even if it's little, is really important to the people that follow you. And that's what I'm trying to say. So that's authenticity, right? All right. The next part is your aesthetic, how you feel. So one of the things I always say, this painting behind me is a big part of how I show up when I show up, right? Some people have signature pieces of jewelry. I like something signature, and your branding colors are part of that, right? So that's part of your authentic brand. A lot of spiritual people use the color purple, all different shades. I think that's a big spiritual color anyway. So how you're showing up is a part of your brand, and how you make people feel is a part of your brand, right? So if someone is always warm and compassionate and holds beautiful space, that you know, right? You want people to feel that way around you. Right? If you want people to feel scared of you all the time, that is some people's brand. That's part of your branding, right? That's how you're making people feel, right? Or if you put yourself up on a pedestal and say, hey, come get to me. I've seen people do it differently. That's how you're making people feel, right? Your colors, photos, websites, the fonts you use all reflect a vibe, right? It's not a trend. You don't follow other people because they did it. It's a vibe. And usually if it resonates with you, it'll resonate with the other people. So if you have a website designer or a brander or something, and they're putting out stuff and it doesn't resonate with you, then don't use it, because you are your people. Your people are you, right? So if it doesn't resonate with you, it's not going to resonate with your people. So do things that are authentic to you. Right. All right. And the last part I have is embodying your brand in every single interaction you have. So if you have an email list, that like the top or the banner or whatever should always look the same, right? Whether it's a picture of you. I think using your picture right now is really, really important because there's so much noise out there, but it should look the same every time. Does that make sense? I have, if you're on my list, I have different um, colors depending on what I'm talking about, but my picture's at the top of everything now. It was not up till about 18 months ago. I think we just started doing that because I needed to step out a little bit personally. And I felt that so many people are back on email and bombarding that I had to make some type of tiny uniqueness or difference. So even if it's a blue line that you see down the right side every single time, it has to be unique to your brand. So as soon as they see it, they say, oh, I know who that is. I know who that's from, right? So it's unique to you. So the uniqueness is really important too. Also that goes with your social media, your offers. My notes are saying even Zoom. Zoom is because behind you. Like I say, this is always behind me, right? You want the same thing behind you all the time. And a lot of people have their brand and stuff. I don't, because honestly, if you have curly hair, you'll know it's a little tame today, but because it was a wash day. But if my curls are out here, the whole background keeps going. So I can't do that type of background because my hair it doesn't work with me. But a lot of people have their logos behind them. As long as you are consistent all the time, if you're from one networking group to the next, people can say, oh, I know who that is. I get who that is. So that's really important. Or that person was in my last networking group. Maybe I should connect with them and have a one-on-one because they recognize that over and over. Does that make sense? So if I'm on a podcast and I have the exact same background, people might say, wait, I think I went to one of her master classes. I recognize the painting. People actually recognize this painting a lot. Does that make sense? Yeah, good. All right. Just checking the chat, see if you write anything. Okay. So one of the activities that I recommend just on your own brand, if you're doing a little assessment for yourself, is where might you be showing up in a way that isn't aligned with your true self or your brand, right? So your Facebook, your Instagram, your LinkedIn, whatever else you're on, it should always have the same profile picture across all brands because that's your brand. Whatever profile picture you choose should be the exact same one that's on everything because that's what you choose. That's your brand, right? And if you have something behind it, that's also your brand. Does that make sense? So you just want consistency with your branding. That is very, very important. All right. And in closing, the most important part of this is embodying your brand before you start to build it. Or if you've already built it, to really think very clearly about what is the perception that you want to put out there, right? What is the vibe you're trying to put out there, right? Does it feel as good as it performs, right? So if you're a very spiritual individual or you're in holistic health or whatever, you want people to be able to look at your brand or your background or whatever it is, your social media, and get that feeling and vibe of whatever your core values are. Does that make sense? Right? So you need to fully express your brand in everything that you do. Right? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like if you have music behind that, right? And think of one action you can take to start streamlining all of that. So it really shows up in who you are as a person, because your brand is you, right? You're not a big company. Your brand is you. And your name needs to be on everything too. A lot of people use their business name, but if you're the only one in there, make sure people know your name. That's one of the reasons I always use my middle initial, is so I stick out as Camille L. Miller, because there is a Camille Miller that's a famous singer in Canada. So if you Google Camille Miller, I will not come up. It's more of a common name than you think. So that's why I use my middle initial. So there's a lot of women that don't use their last name in case that changes. They use like their first and their middle name. People have made up names. Doesn't matter. Just figure out what it's going to be and be very, very consistent. All right. Are there any questions? Any questions? Any thoughts as we wrap up today? Nobody? You're welcome, Judy. You're welcome. Is anyone struggling? I'm sorry about the cough up still. Very clear. Is anyone struggling with any piece of their business, or they don't feel, or they're scared to be authentic? I get that a lot. You know, just speak your truth. But one thing about speaking your truth is you will attract the right people. When you're not speaking your truth, that's when you attract the wrong people. Does that make sense? Because you can only attract who you are. So if you're not talking your truth, you're not going to attract who you are, because that's not your truth. You're not putting out there your truth. All right, someone asked, can you use your business name and your name both? Yes, you can. I just think it's really important to use your name. Another mistake I made. I did not brand my name after I've been in business 10 years now. I started using my name 2 years ago. I realized that my name is what people are noticing now. And the nice thing is I can always break out of my name, especially when I'm speaking on stages now. My name has more weight, right, than my brand. And a lot of times people don't always know my brand, but they might have heard my name or seen me somewhere. So your name is very, very important. Know how you want it to show up. Like I said, the middle initials, letters behind it, whatever it is for you, even your name is part of your brand. So it could be, for me, it's Soul Professional. I don't use it this way, but you could say, you know, the Soul Professional with Camille Miller, right? Something like that, whatever it is for you. I think that's really, really important. And letters before or letters after your name, if it's important to you or the people that are looking at you, then use those as well. Any other questions? Was this helpful? Yay. All right, I'm glad. All right, one of the things I wanted to share with you, let's see if I can get this to work. I think I can. This is new for me. Ways to work with me. So if a lot of people are here before, and I can also put this in the chat so these will work for you. Yeah, it's just telling me you can't access the worksheet, which I'm well aware of. So I have a few different ways to work with me. The biggest one right now that I want to share with you is the Business Accelerator and Mentorship program that is coming up for our fall cohort, because I have never put this out before. I've been doing this for over a year. The people that have come out of it have been incredible. I'm doing it a little bit differently. This year, the 14 weeks is still exactly the same, but I'm trying to get a bigger cohort because the smaller cohorts have been so exponential that I thought, well, if I could get a few more people in there, the conversation can be even greater. So the Business Accelerator and Mentorship Program is my signature program. It's a 14-week business program. It is like a mini MBA, and each week stacks on the next week, right? So we build from concept all the way to launching. And even if you already have a business, it could be something that just helps you strengthen your business. Right now, it's $2,000 off through July, and those that are jumping in early also get a bonus one-on-one session with me. It is absolutely the most powerful way to work with me. The second way is the Psyche reset and strategy session. So this is usually if you are stuck on one thing, not really ready to commit to a fuller program. It's a great way to test my coaching or to just do quick focus work in one area. And not only do we do strategy and talk about whatever it is, your packages, your pricing, your client funnels, your avatar, whatever it is for you, I also do Psyche, which is an energy psychology that helps clear out all those subconscious beliefs that may be holding you back, right? So that's another great way to start working. And the third way is super easy. It's a self-paced online class that goes for 28 days. It's called Manifesting the Life and Business of Your Dreams in 15 minutes a day. It's all about journaling and clarifying your vision, creating each step, and it brings through all of your uniqueness. It's actually a lot of the questions that I ask in my accelerator. So I always say that this is a great precursor class if you're not sure if you're ready for that next step, just to go through the questions. It's really inexpensive, and it's a great way just to see, you know, what you can do on your own. And for 28 days, you get videos from me and little journaling pieces. So that's great ways to work with me. And you can get all of this on soulprofessional.com. You can break into all of these. So if you're watching this on YouTube or something else in the replay, these aren't necessarily click-throughs, but you can just go there and see it. So thank you guys for joining with me today and being a part of this. I really appreciate you showing up, interacting. And remember that we do this the third Thursday of every single month, just about. Once in a while we move it, but it's the third Thursday of every single, the fourth Thursday of every single month. And it's interactive. So please show up if I can help you, and go to soulprofessional.com to join some of our networking. Take the Soul Professional Movement Pledge and be a part of our unique international community and show up for networking. And that's all I got. Thanks everyone for joining me today. You're welcome.